Today marks our return to the Builder series after an absence of quite some time, with a greater number of variants of each and every aspect. Sagacious Krillin, Tenshinhan the Legion, and Ultra Sense for Raditz, these were just 3 transformations that we did in the previous episode. Basically, we're coming up with the concept of what would happen if these characters underwent the ultimate training that Gohan did. So instead of just having Gohan Beast, we can have other beastly transformations for lesser known characters, underrated ones at that too. We are not finished with these particular characters, and today we have a combination that is quite unusual. It's kind of out there. And to boot, it might actually be involving Frieza, and maybe something better than Black Frieza? So stay tuned to find out more. But now that we've discussed Krillin and Tenshinhan, let's turn our attention now to their trusted companion, Yamcha. So therefore, how about we figure out the situation? What kind of metamorphosis does one imagine Yamcha going through? Something that could work well with his wolf-like motif while still keeping him human enough to be Yamcha and not go on a complete rampage to prevent the form from becoming overly exaggerated? I mean, yes, we like the idea that he's a wolf man, but you wouldn't want to just turn him into a werewolf or anything like that. It'd be kind of boring. We are aware that the potential Unleashed transformations can cause some slight alterations to your physical form and even your facial features, mostly exaggerating it, because if you look at Gohan Beast over here, yeah, that's just a very, very weird fanficky version of Super Saiyan 2. But it does provide us with some creative license with regards to the appearances of each character. We can go a little bit over the top here because, well, the official source material did. So when it comes to his appearance, a fantastic place to begin designing this transformation would be his particularly menacing design from the really underrated special, the 10th anniversary one, of Path to Power. Basically, once again, retelling the first arc, but done with gorgeous 1996 animation. I really recommend you giving it a look. And it's displayed whenever he uses his signature Wolf Fang Fist. So instead of it just being a standard ki attack or something like that, or just a oh, and that's it, no, he looks properly like a wolf. It's so cool. And it almost seems as though it wants you to transform Yamcha into something wild, ferocious, quick, unpredictable. You get what he's trying to do. And it sort of actually reminds me also of Blanka from Street Fighter. Okay, we're not going to be just transforming Yamcha into Blanka and calling it a day. You know, haven't I? We're not going to be just doing that. But whenever we do think of Unleashed, or even a beastly form for our favourite design bandit, this guy really does come to mind. He will be a source of inspiration. So, in this ultimate Yamcha form, Yamcha's musculature would be vastly improved. And he would take on Blanka's signature posture of being slightly hunched over, sort of animalistic, ready to go, just to kind of convey that wolf connection. If this had happened, his already lengthy hair, at least in the Saiyan Saga and in Super, would have been even longer. It would have grown out more. It would have actually reached nearly to the middle of his back. Granted, you might not think it's exactly practical, but we're really trying to go for aesthetic pleasing here, more than just fighting capability. Just something that looks Yamcha, the ultimate Yamcha. So in terms of the finer details, they would have piercing red irises like those in Path to Power, pale skin that is almost grey-like but not fur, dark grey hair up there that resembles a wolf mane or a pelt, but not going full furry. So as a result, we got to give it a name. So this name for Yamcha would translate to the leader of the pack. So essentially you could just call him Yamcha, leader of the pack. Oh, it sounds so good, doesn't it? Possibly not a total berserker form in of itself. It's not going to be like completely manic Yamcha, but it would be something speedy and a form that employs a full offense, little defense strategy. You're sort of min-maxing offense here, with the addition of a large number of interesting ki-infused close combat moves to boot. Like, of course, Ki Claws, obviously, and double Wolf Fang Fists, amongst other things. So instead of just the single Wolf Fang Fist, double. Regarding the mood, there is no longer any room for worry or uncertainty. Yamcha now, instead of being doubtful or meek or scared, is now in a leadership role, the role of the hunter rather than the hunted. So quite frankly, it's putting to bed a lot of things that Haverock and I deem that Yamcha is just really not needing right now in his place in Dragon Ball. You can actually check out our discussion here where we go about the notion of Yamcha being seen as a bit of a joke amongst the franchise and why it really does need to stop. And of course other things which just totally don't make sense, but Toriyama just goes, oh, that's funny for Yamcha. Just doesn't make any sense for the fans. The next person on our list is Chaozu. But yes, we are going to be showcasing this character because nobody else is going to do so. Chaozu is now in this state, in this situation, going through a bit of a change. Back in the day, we weren't really quite sure what he was going to be, and for the longest time he was just in the background. But now, in Super, thanks to what we saw in the Moro Saga, Chaozu's now becoming a bit of a sassy little jerk, and we love it. So even though he's not most likely the strongest character out there, nor is his magical prowess actually being showcased at all, even though he has tons of it, like telekinesis, telepathy, all of that stuff, which should have worked against Nappa. You know, he's doing something. After giving this all a lot of thought and making the connection between this little guy and the classic Chinese vampire dolls, which are called Jiangshi by the way, short for Chinese hopping vampires, we can tell that nowadays Chaozu would be hopping mad he's not actually getting enough screen time. At least we're going to be trying to evolve something from that overall layout into what Chaozu is. So we already see this, let's go even further. Yes, I know, it may seem a little cheap that essentially what Chaozu's transformation is going to be is him digivolving into an even more over-exaggerated version of himself, but I think it's necessary, and it would make a lot of sense. It would really make the character, our favourite little guy, grow up, becoming all scary and vampiric. Something that we really don't have nowadays in Dragon Ball. Even though it would be hilarious to watch him skip around with his arms stretched out, we do need to make sure that the form is correct and accurate to his original archetype. You know, we don't want to be taking liberties with something like that, which is really culturally based. And something that works well with the strengths the character already possesses is something we need to take into account as well. When we talk about Chaozu's psychic abilities, we really mean this. He's not going to be stronger in terms of physical strength, it's going to be right up there, we actually using them. Because all of these powers, if you've not been an original Dragon Ball fan, they were used all the time in the original series. Really forgotten in Dragon Ball Z. The last time I can remember Chaozu's powers being used in anger was trying to take over Nappa's mind, which should have worked because he was so simple, but for some reason it didn't. I'm still sore about that. Can you imagine what would have happened if it actually worked? Hey Vegeta! I don't want to fight anymore! I'm a big meanie and I have a stinky butt! Would giggle Chaozu. So therefore, let's proceed in the same manner as we've done with the previous episode with the likes of Krillin. The appearance of Chaozu himself would not change really significantly, with the exception that his eyes would be wide, open and glowing. And I know that a lot of you would out there say that, oh, Chaozu's eyes are already round, but they'd be even rounder. But then also a spectral form of a larger size would begin to take shape around the little guy, so sort of little stand-like quality behind him. This would be a somewhat initially unremarkable Jiangshi silhouette, with the legs drawn in close to one another and the arms stretched out in front of the body, along with everything else. But the results would make up for absolutely everything else. This monstrosity's hands would each have two energy strings protruding from them at the same time. Do you have any idea, folks, what the gimmick could be right now? Because Chaozu would not only experience an increase in his psychic power, but he would also have complete command over the enemy's body. This ain't telekinesis basic, this is going to be more than that, as if they were caught by the string and essentially, Chaozu's a big vampiric puppet spider. It would be appropriate for his slightly mischievous nature too, if you made him capable of treating his victims with the "hey, stop hitting yourself" treatment. So essentially, he doesn't even need to do anything else. He just uses his magical strings, takes control over the enemy, and just lets them submit themselves into death. Yes, it's not a technique that can fully control the mind like telekinesis or telepathy, but it is something that can effectively control the limbs. And in a fight like that, that might be enough. The enemy would just be taken along for the ride. In this manner, we would also be able to drain energy too, which would allow him to expand the size of his spiritual Jiangshi, and in turn it would be a snowball effect, so the more energy has been able to consume through the energy strings, the stronger the Jiangshi form gets, and rinse and repeat. There is only one name that would fit all of these criteria, so allow me to introduce you all to Chaozu, also known as the Energy Vampire. Yes, I know it's not exactly the most outstanding thing like Tenshinhan the Legion, but it's self-explanatory. So okay, you've made it this far through the video. What are we going to be doing with Frieza? We're going to be embracing a little bit more of the bestial side of this possible character and their potential unleashed form today. We thought we'd have a little bit more fun than usual with this one. So therefore, as a more expansive thought experiment, why don't we really go into the depths of Frieza and figure out what could possibly be gained from him had he actually been trained under the Supreme Kai under duress? As we all know, the venerable Freezy-Pops guy has undergone a number of guises throughout his life, and we've even concocted a fifth form of him in many iterations, one many years ago. But, okay, where do we go from here? The most recent two forms were primarily colour swaps with a few alterations of a more subtle nature. Even though they were received well, they're not exactly groundbreaking in innovative and new design, but I guess with the final form Frieza as a base, it's a really good design, so why would you want to change it? It's just change the colours and saturation and hue and you're good to go. But since we're already discussing beastly transformations, let's take a look at the Frieza race's most monstrous forms while we're at it. Of course, as you know, this is the third form of Frieza, and this is the fifth form of Cooler. They are very underrated transformations, and the third form really gets kind of shafted, so therefore we thought we would do something as a mixture of the two. So with the elongated xenomorph-like head, it might be a little bit too much for us, but we do like the torso of Frieza's third form, especially those massive shoulders. Because we require that the ultimate form has to be relatively large and imposing like the second form, we decided to go down this path. Additionally having some spikes on the back too, because spiky backs, that's the best. So if we were to make any changes to the general outline, we would model anything that Frieza would get from the ultimate powers through the fifth form, albeit with a more robust build. And what exactly is the deal with the tiny masks that Cooler has? Is it some kind of additional change, like a machine or a device or something you wear, or is it part of the form? We wouldn't have that. We would make his face open so you can actually see it, before Cooler actually closed the mask and all that stuff. So comparable to the Fusions and Dokkan character, Cooliza, but something a little bit different. And quite simply, it's enormous, even bigger than second form Frieza and King Cold. In addition, rather than giving him the smooth head of the fourth form, because it's nice to look at and it's shiny, it's not exactly feature rich, we would give him the classic horns of first form Frieza, but with a slight curve toward the back. This would have given him a more sinister appearance, sort of like Moro, for example, or anything that comes to the depths of hell. The colours will come next. While we would keep his face the same pale pink colour that was in his anime first form, we would do something else with the overall look. We would give it an overall colour scheme, this transformation, that has never been used before, but is also complementary to both of Frieza's most recent official forms. The palette consists of black and gold. Now, if you're a Formula 1 fan, you'll know that black and gold is always a really good colour scheme, and that translates to absolutely every other medium. The skin on his body would be a nice matte black colour too, while all of those jewel-like elements on his body will be gold in colour. The matte black and the precious metal gold would really make a nice contrast with one another. More so than gold and purple. Admittedly, I do use gold and purple quite a lot. It is very good, but this is better. Also, the red eyes of the fifth form Cooler should be kept here too, so this would be Frieza, the complete monster. So, we've given the beastly treatment to these three characters, and we think we're onto some winners here. Did you enjoy it? Do you like these designs, or do you think you can come up with something better? Do leave your suggestions in the comments about characters you'd like to see have an ultimate power, but in the meantime, do like and subscribe, it really means a lot, and we hope to see you back for the next video. Catch you later!